As you progress further on your self-improvement journey, you will start to hear a lot of advice saying that you should cut out all content and all content is bad for you and you should go into monk mode. And while these are a very necessary component of self-improvement, and you should definitely have multiple periods on your journey where you go on monk mode, you cut out all your distractions, you focus completely on your craft, you cut out all your distractions and everything. The message you should take from this shouldn't be that, oh, I should cut out all content and all content is bad for me, because content has value, right? The message you should be taking from this is you should be more purposeful with how you consume content and more purposeful with everything that you do in your life in general, right? Like, you want to sort of optimize your life for your results and to build like the life that you want. And this applies to everything. It's not just working hard, grind, Sigma male grind set and everything. It's all components of your life. What do you want your life to look like, right? And be purposeful and make sure everything you do is working towards building that life that you want, where you're living a more purposeful life, and you're going to be quite satisfied with it when you're on your deathbed, right? But going back to the content thing, content, for the most part, a lot of us that do consume content, and most people that consume content, we usually consume it quite mindlessly as a pastime. We're not achieving anything. I mean, you get to a point where if you ask most people who scroll, and I think TikTok is particularly bad, TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, I think this is why these are the worst forms of content, aside from Pornhub and all of that. If you ask people, like, after 3-4 hour session of scrolling on, I don't know, it doesn't even need to be that long, like 2 hours. If you ask them for 2 hours, like, oh, I've been scrolling on TikTok, you ask them, what did you watch, right? You won't be able to mention much. Like, you can mention like a couple of things, but it's never anything like, oh, I watched this, I learned this. Even those cool TikToks you watch where it's like, oh, you're learning how to do this. It's like, you don't even remember that. You don't even remember it. It's simply for entertainment. So, for the most part, like, social media and consuming content it's a waste of time, but not all of it, and you need to be more purposeful with it. And I think another analogy I can give for this is sort of the sidestep to social media in general, right? Like, social media, for the most part, it's a waste of our time, keeping up with the Kardashians kind of thing, or you want to see, keeping up with the Joneses, sorry, keeping up with the Kardashians, keeping up with the Joneses, right? You want to see what everyone else is doing, fear of missing out, what's this person doing today and everything, and you want to post and make your life look amazing and everything. For the most part, you're just playing stupid games and wasting time, right? But there is like use to it, right? Like, for me, like, for example, here, like on YouTube, if you make content, if you're a creator rather than a consumer on social media, that's a fantastic use. Like, people have built lives off of social media, building social media platforms and providing value to the people, to the communities that they build, right? Like, there's a lot you can do with that. Or if you're on your red pill kind of grind or whatever, you can use like Instagram to create like a nice dating profile for you, so you can get like more Instagram DMs from women or whatever, if you like doing that sort of thing, and building up Tinder and all of that. Like, there is use to it, like, if you're purposeful with it. And going back to the content thing, there's like I'm saying, like I'm reiterating now, like, there is a lot of value to using social media and consuming content, but you need to be very purposeful with it, right? There are lots of things you can learn from social media and from consuming content, like self-improvement, for example. I don't think many of us would know anything about self-improvement, or a lot of the things we have learned about self-improvement without social media, without consuming content, without like YouTube and Spotify and everything. Like, even like Joe Rogan podcast, for example, all the things like you learn about like politics and just general stuff. Like, you wouldn't know that stuff if you didn't watch that sort of thing. Or the Modern Wisdom podcast, right, with Chris Williamson. He brings on people like Dr. Andrew Huberman, Dr. Jordan Peterson, like those types of people. Like, there's so much to be learned from that, right? And you wouldn't know like all that stuff you hear from them if you didn't consume content. And yeah, like I'm saying, the main takeaway shouldn't be cut out all content. It should be, how can I be more purposeful with content, right? Now, obviously, that's a kind of obvious example, self-improvement, like learning, using it to learn. But there's also another component that you can use it for, and it's just something like motivation. And I know in self-improvement it's like, oh, don't rely on motivation, rely on discipline. And it's like, you kind of need both, right? You kind of need both. You want to have discipline as the foundation of your self-improvement and your progress, but you want to have like motivation to supplement it, to keep you going, right? To help you like hit that next level, right? And again, if you're purposeful with how you consume content, and again, like anything in life, you don't want to take it like to the extreme. And also, like with self-improvement content, you don't want to be coping, right? Like you get to a point where you've watched so much self-improvement content, you know what you need to do, and it's just information overload, and you'd be better off not watching any more content and actually like working and like doing the things you're supposed to be doing and progressing and like taking action. But yeah, going back to like what I was saying with with the second way that you can use content for motivation, right? They're documentaries, right? Like for me, I got like this year I've watched quite a few sports documentaries. I love watching sports documentaries. They're very motivational for me. You get to see like the behind the scenes of like high level athletes and like what's going on in their mind, like the tough times they're going through. Because it's sort of like it's not necessarily like the textbook definition of breaking the fourth wall, but you're getting to see like what's happening with them, because a lot of the times you sort of just see them as these, you know, these perfect like people. They're always motivated and everything. And the example I can use is like The Last Dance, right? Like, you know, Michael Jordan is like, you know, this go-getter. Like he's got, and you see it in the documentary. Like you can see it, but you also get to see like when they go through like low times and how they deal with that. And that can be useful. It can be useful. And I'll be honest, it's less useful than, you know, like watching, consuming content specifically for learning. But you know, as a pastime, and you say like, oh, I can allow myself like each day maybe I can watch like an episode, right, of like The Last Dance, or I was watching Quarterback. It's about like American football, or you know, All or Nothing. You know, you're watching like football series. Uh, you admit it is entertainment, but it also has like some use, right? Like you can take like some motivation from it. But yeah, the second one of like using it for motivation is less so than like the first one, where you can use it to learn. But really, like the main takeaway should be taken from all of this is that you don't need to cut out all content. You just need to be more purposeful of what you're doing in your life. Now, if you're in a season of your life where you don't need to be watching content, and you just need to be like fully like nose in the grinder, and you're just working really hard and you know what you need to do, then sure, go for it. Like anything else is kind of a distraction. Cut out like all content and everything. But there's some periods in your life where, you know, it's not going to hurt you, and you could actually like gain a lot from like just learning things, right? Like the work smart not harder kind of thing. Obviously you still gotta like work hard, but you can save yourself so much time by like learning new things, right? Like gym, for example. Like if you just start with the gym and you tell like a beginner who's starting with gym, and you tell them, don't consume any content, like just go to the gym and just, you know, find your way, right? It's like they're not going to learn like all the stuff about like, you know, like which exercises to do, bulking and cutting, like lean bulking, like which diet is best for them, like what's the best split. They're not going to learn about how like, oh, rest is very important, and all of this. And they might learn it over a long period of time, but it will take a lot longer, and they can save themselves so much more time by like again being purposeful, but like purposefully going onto YouTube and like searching videos on like what are the best exercises to do, how should I set up my workout split, how should I deal with like bulking and cutting, and you know, what do I do if I hit a plateau, and that sort of thing. Like you can learn like a lot from that, from being more purposeful with your content. So you don't need to cut out all the content. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to join the Self Improvement Brotherhood, and until next time, see you boys.